The third Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, has been seen as one of the most beloved indie movies of all time, and it has gone down as many favorites, even over the first indie movie. With Indy's relationship with his father, which means Han Solo's dad is canonically James Bond. But the artifact of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is the Holy Grail. And on today's episode of The History Behind Indiana Jones, I will take a look at the Holy Grail. Now in the universe, it is true that they usually change artifacts that may or may not have that they are usually religious and around, and may or may not have been real. But the Holy Grail is not biblical in any sense of the word. I can tell you that. As a Christian, it's not biblical, which is weird because we have a somewhat good record of the history of Christianity. So yeah. And in most history, Guinness states that there was never a thought that there was something like a Holy Grail that could bring everlasting life to anyone that could become, that if you drink from it, you would become immortal. It was usually because of the Arthurian legends, and also, we have more, historians more agree that, said how it's more agree that Jesus is this over King Awful, and which means that even the thing that's presumably with now a lot of people associate with Jesus is the Holy Grail is actually for a guy that may or may not have existed. And even Indy mentions this. And also they'll presume actual Holy Grail all look like the false grails. But here's what we go idea. It was usually during the Last Supper, and it would usually take this and you drink my wine and you are forgiven. For what we take it of for what people would take of is communion 2,000 years after this. Whereas in Indy, the wall behind the Holy Grail is that a knight alias 3 brothers during the Crusades found it and hid it in a secret temple so that it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. And it, by being placed by who exactly? God? Whoever, maybe. We don't know. But yes. As in, he would go, you have chosen. Or chosen wisely. Then the false grail, if you found a false grail, you would die. Horrible death. So, yeah. That's considering how any of the indie movies, this is one that has the only artifact that other than maybe Noah's Ark, this is probably the indie movie that kind of took, because even from a historical record, it was probably just maybe a cup, and probably not even a cup, maybe multiple cups. So now was during the first, which would later go on to make communion is. But back to the film, Indiana Jones is a good movie. And it's considering how any of the indie movies other than Crystal Skull, this is the one that kind of, especially with now we have a fun fact about Christianity. We have good enough history about Christianity, which kind of makes you go, why do people think? And same with biblical senses. This was just something I get mad about. So, see you next time. Fortune, glory, and God bless.